what you say.
No.
There it is.
Let's hear it.
Well, let's hear it.
Talk to us.
Uh-oh.
Beadle and Decker, taking on sports talk like no one else. Michelle Beadle,
I'm just helping. I'm helping America one by one.
Cody Decker.
I 100% believe in revenge. Revenge is a great thing.
Back to the sports.
Back and ready for more.
Every time I tune them out, they pull me back in.
It's Beadle and Decker. Here's Michelle and Cody.
Hello, everyone. It is an incredible Tuesday live right here in Southern California. And you got me, your guy, Cody Decker. And with me today, I'm really excited. The one and only Rob Brown returns to the show. Rob, in case people don't know this, you and I were co-hosts for 4 years on the BetMGM network. We had a show called Bet for the Cycle. We worked in the gambling sphere. We worked in the baseball sphere. We worked together very well for a lot of years. And I'm really excited for those of you that have not ever met Rob Brown or not familiar with his work. Quick little background. If there is any awards given out to a broadcaster in South Carolina, he has all of them. Broadcaster of the year. What was it? 3 years in a row, my guy?
3 out of 4. I'm relatively sure the fourth year was because they were afraid I was becoming Brady dynastic there for a minute, and they didn't want to chase everybody out. And also, I know it's all true because I got a headshot on Beadle and Decker. I've got my own headshot. You hit me with the graphic design department. I've made it, Mom, finally.
Yes, Southern charm with a microphone. That's what you get from the one and only Rob Brown. Also, you can get some great bets. We're going to get a lot of talk about baseball today. A lot of talk about, of course, the Olympic controversy. The ABS system is here in Major League Baseball. Do you like it? Well, we're going to discuss that too. Not to mention, we got some comic book movies coming out that Rob Brown and I are very excited to chat about because let's be real clear, we're both big comic book nerds. Only problem is when it comes to our comic book nerddom, we're actually on opposite ends of the spectrum a little bit in that I'm a bigger DC guy than Rob Brown is a Marvel guy. But that doesn't mean we argue and don't love each other's properties. No. It just means we mildly argue on what we personally prefer and think is better. That being said, Rob Brown, let's get right into it because Major League Baseball is back, baby, and I'm digging everything so far, Major League Baseball. We got spring training underway. We're seeing some great plays. We're seeing some Pete Alonso hitting absolute nukes for the Baltimore Orioles. What is so far the things that you're excited that you're seeing in Major League Baseball? What are the things you're not excited seeing in Major League Baseball? I mean, we are just weeks away from opening day. Legitimately, just weeks away from opening day.
First off, and I'm glad that you brought up that we're going to get to it. I'm an ABS guy, all right? And I'll tell you, we're going to talk about why. We're going to dive headfirst in. I know. I'm getting there. There's a lot, man. Like, I'm excited to see the Dodgers against the world mentality. It's not so much that it hasn't been that way a couple of years, Deck. It's that it feels now like everybody in the NL has almost gotten kind of galvanized about what we're looking at here, right? Again, you and I have had this discussion a million times. The Dodgers did not do anything wrong or illegal. They're playing by a rule book that allows them to do all that they have done. Any other team is allowed to do so. I would like to point out there is one net positive for me here. And that one net positive is, hey, this is kind of an argument against allowing your team to become like a publicly traded entity that is beholden to a board demanding profits, which I never thought I'd be in the position where I defend a system where like a billionaire is allowed to control the happiness of an entire fan base. But like, this is an argument for that. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how these NL teams, do they change their philosophy when they know they've got a 3 or 4 game set coming up against the Dodgers? Do they maybe tinker and say, we'll worry a little bit less about the 2-3 games leading into that to make sure we're as good as we can be when we play LA at home or on the road, whatever. I think that's really interesting. And I don't know, man, like I got a lot to rant about my Atlanta Braves.
Oh, we'll get into that too.
The moves of Alex Anthopoulos won us a World Series in 2021 and have cost us a chance at one every year since.
Interesting. I'm actually with you on the Listen, I am not against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, granted, they're not the team I root the most for. I root for the San Diego Padres a little bit more. I root for the Arizona Diamondbacks a little more, but that's only because of personal reasons of two organizations that I spent a lot of time with. I spent 7 years in San Diego. I spent 2 seasons with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I felt they were both great organizations, and I really like what the Padres have done over the years, spending money, increasing their value, and by the way, their value, and not to mention their revenue, has gone up like 40% since they've gone ahead and spent all this money. So it does help to go ahead and invest in your team, other owners in Major League Baseball. But no. You're in a small market. Again, small markets have nothing to do whether or not your team is going to spend money. It has more to do whether or not your ownership is just going to spend money that they absolutely have. But that digress back to the initial point. I'm looking forward to this Major League Baseball versus the Dodgers mentality, because it is interesting to see that we finally have a big bad again. We haven't had a big bad since the Yankees of the early or late 2000s. Really, I would honestly go a little bit further. It's early 2000s, back when the Yankees had all the money because they were the only team that owned their own TV network at the time. But then other teams caught up and made things a little bit more interesting. I can't stress enough how excited I am for specifically the following things. The National League West is going to be very interesting. I'm really excited about the Dodgers. Obviously, they're a team that you can't help but watch. They have nothing but superstars galore. Those of you that hate the Dodgers, look at Freddie Freeman's face. Look at Freddie Freeman's face and tell me you can hate that face. You can't. You can't hate that face. And Rob Brown will get into that in just a minute, because he knows how much it hurts him to hear these words. Because even he, card-carrying Braves fan, cannot hate the face of Freddie Freeman. He's too likable and too lovable, and it's driving Rob nuts. If you hate Mookie Betts, that sounds like a you problem. It is impossible to frown when thinking of or hearing the name Shohei Ohtani. So yeah, I'm very excited about the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm excited about the San Diego Padres, man. They made a couple of interesting late moves. Nick Castellanos, that pickup seems interesting. Walker Buehler picked up this last week. That's interesting. The Diamondbacks getting back to health. Are they going to be a contender? And you know what? I'm going to say something I don't think a lot of people are saying. I want to see what the hell this experiment in San Francisco is with their head coach who's never spent a day in professional baseball. It is fascinating to me. I do not know if it'll work, but if Buster Posey believes in him this much, not to mention they hired Bruce Bochy as an assistant. They hired Dusty Baker as a special assistant. So you have Mount Rushmore managers in that front office to help, guide this young manager. But man, a college dude in the pro ranks, after never even spending a day as a player or a coach in the pro ranks, I think it's going to be fascinating on seeing what happens there. And it's in the chat right there. Chad wants to know what's good in Philly. The truth is, dude, I don't know. I'm interested in Philly because the Phillies, I feel like they're on their last legs of this aged out group. If they don't get it done this year or next year, bro, they're going to have to really consider retooling that entire organization.
I agree. You and I have been having this. Here's the thing. You and I have been having that discussion, though it's felt a little bit less pressing at times than it does right now. You and I have been having this discussion about the Phillies, it feels like, for the past 2 years. Like the last 2 seasons, it's been, we're getting close to the end, and it's been, where are we with Schwarber, and where are we with Harper, and where are we with all these guys? And it seems like Philly was just the little engine that could not get it done when it mattered, right? They get right up to the top of the hill and slide back down. It was very Sisyphusian, or however the smart people say that word. You know what I'm saying? I think last year passed that point, right? Like, I don't think that this is it. I would go so far as to say, and I will probably come across homerish here, Deck. So I will, as I have for the past 5 years, tell me if this is being a little bit too optimistic, stop me in my tracks. Man, if I wanted to lay down a bet for the winner of the NL East, as much as I'm going to complain about them relentlessly not going and getting a starting pitcher here in just a few minutes, I kind of feel like the Atlanta Braves are a better bet than Philly right now to win this NL East this year, primarily because we've been watching the production levels just step down, step down, step down. And yeah, the Braves weren't the team we wanted to be last year, but last year the Braves were, I believe, the most injured team in baseball, right? I mean, if altogether, I believe they missed 7,242 seasons due to combined injuries. If the Braves don't get banged up this year like they did last year, especially since they kept Chris Sale, at least I'll give Alex Anthopoulos that, I feel better about the Braves with a slightly younger core than a Philly team that has been aging and slowly sliding back down the hill. Why would I expect the same results again?
Yeah, no, I get it. And, why don't we go ahead and get into it real quick, because you have been a card-carrying Braves fan for a long time. And after that World Series, and I do agree, that World Series, you had Peterson with the pearls, the whole vibe of the whole thing, Freddie getting his World Series over there. But now Freddie's got two more that are just flat out more memorable than that first one. And like you said, the injuries galore. You're basing a lot of your future on Ronald Acuna Jr., on Austin Riley, all these guys you kind of locked up for long term, which all these moves, by the way, I can give Anthopoulos a lot of crap. I really can. I can go ahead and pistol whip him all day long for the moves he made. But at the time, and come after me all you want, dude, at the time, I loved every one of these moves. It was a young core that just won a World Series. Why wouldn't I be thrilled about locking up an Austin Riley, locking up a Matt Olson, locking up all these young dudes who just won you a World Series? I thought they were about to run it back to 2-3 more. But to see them kind of falter the way they have these last 3 years specifically, and last year, which was an absolute disaster, go to town, dude. Tell me, why didn't your Braves do a damn thing this offseason? They had every opportunity to do something. The Mets finally went out and did things, but you didn't take advantage of the Marlins never doing anything, the Nationals standing pat, and of course, the Phillies really only kind of subtracting this offseason, notwithstanding the Schwarber deal that they got done.
So I think there's a couple of things at play here. One of them is what I brought up a little bit earlier in the show, and I know it was kind of a throwaway, but there's some reasoning behind bringing it up. One of them is the fact that the Atlanta Braves are now a publicly owned company, right? Like, they have a board, and they are beholden to profit holders. And the reality is, unfortunately, when people are more beholden to profit than production, Deck, it tends to make people think in the short term, not the long term, right? Like, one person, maybe even a very small group of people, can think about the long term. Most people, when they're put into large groups, they think about the short term. And so I think most Atlanta fans are wanting to look long term, and most of the folks in a boardroom are thinking about the short term. So when you say to them, yeah, we could get in, like, I genuinely thought, and I knew it was likely a short possibility, I genuinely thought Atlanta was going to be in on the Pete Alonso move, because I knew that Big Bear was going to be gone, right? And, like, yeah, he's the first baseman, but Pete Alonso is a DH and Matt Olson playing first, or flip-flop them, winning if you need to. Let Olson get some rest, put Petey at first, and let Olson DH, whatever. They didn't even make a phone call. They didn't even get involved in that. And I think a big chunk of the reason is because of the fact that they were looking and going, well, we would owe him 90, 100, 120, whatever $1 million for a 2 or 3 year deal, whatever those numbers would have been. And they don't look at that as, what is a Braves lineup with Alonso batting 3 and Olson batting 4, or Olson batting 3 and Alonso? What's that look like? That's terrifying, just because of the 3-4 spot. But all they saw was the number on the paper. And I think they decided to go in a different direction. I can say the same thing about pitching. Right? You know, you're coming into the year with a couple of your front end guys on the DL. We know that there are guys going to be missing. We know Strider is still trying to find his way back from the injury that took him a while to recover from last year. That's problematic. I thought the Braves were going to be very involved in the pitching market, but again, there's a reason that they weren't. And while I agree, Anthopoulos made some wizardry happen in the run-up to the 21 World Series. And I do know the Braves' philosophy, Deck, has long been, we want to home grow a team, right? We want guys that came up in our farm system. We want to bring guys like Riley and Acuna up. We want to sign them to very long-term contracts and keep them under team control for a very long time. And I'm good with that, except for I've got to see the new young guys. Like, it's one thing. Then you add in my last thought, which is the injuries from last year. Riley, Strider, all these different guys that got banged up, Money Mike, and missed a bunch of time last year. I think the Braves really are rolling the dice that the injury bug isn't going to kick them in the nuts like it did last year. And yet here we are, and my Braves group chat over the last 2 weeks has just been injury notification after injury notification. We're not even in the friggin' season yet, and the Braves are already stacking their injury report, which kind of makes you go, well, then why didn't we create some depth? Why didn't we find some guys off the back end? I'm not saying it is this way. What I'm saying, Deck, is I am afraid that the Atlanta Braves have rotated to being a team that is about profit over production. And that's a problem for a team like Atlanta that is the dominant team across the southeastern United States, right? Like, I grew up in a world where everyone I knew was a Braves fan because of Turner Broadcasting. The Braves,
the Superstation, man.
Yes, every game was on TV. We used to run home from school if the Braves had a 2:00 first pitch or whatever, because it was on TV. Night games all on TV, and it created this world where they have such a legacy fan base. People like dumbasses like me, Deck, that got real pissed off about how last season ended, and yet I've already put like $200 into new merch for this season, and I've already got the dates on the calendar. I'm heading over to Atlanta to watch games and whatnot. They have to look at it and go, if we're protecting the profit instead of trying to boost the production, and people like Rob Brown's dumbass are going to keep giving us money for doing it, why would we do it? And I'm afraid, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm afraid the Braves have put themselves in a spot where we're a very long way from competing ever again, because to make money, you have to spend money, and they don't want to spend money because it just cuts the profit legs out from under the organization, and that's the most important thing to them. That's what I feel in my black, icy, jaded, cynical heart right now.
Listen, you make some good points. I feel bad about your team right now, but you mentioned the fact that they are kind of like a publicly traded company. Do you think this makes the argument that teams should not be publicly traded, or do you think that this makes the argument for teams to be publicly traded? Because let's be real clear, we're going into a CBA that's about to get very, very ugly. We talk about it all the time. Major League Baseball, the ownerships do not need to open their books. However, the Braves do moderately open their books due to that publicly traded aspect of them. That being said, I don't think we know all of the monies that are being made by the Braves, and we don't know all the monies of their budget and all of that jazz. But that being said, there is at least a semblance of transparency with them. There isn't with everyone else. And I can't stress this enough. This CBA, forget that it's going to get ugly. It's already ugly, my guy, because we're seeing shots across the bow on both sides. You know the players' union ain't doing nothing to say yes to a salary cap. And it was heard it yesterday out of the horse's mouth. Bryce Harper was simply asked the question, do you think we will start next year, 2027, on time? And he didn't mince words. Straight up, no.
Yeah, man, listen, I am what they call in the world of science an idiot. All right. If I understood money, Cody Decker, I would have been broadcasting from this same room for the entire time that I have known you. All right. That being said, even I can look at it and go, yes, this is very ugly. Even I can look at this and understand, like, forget starting on time. I am tiptoeing ever closer to the fear that forget starting the season on time. We just may not have one next year. Like because there comes a point where, you know, players are going to say it's not even worth doing this to play a season. And I am very afraid of that. The problem is I don't know what the answer is. Like the answer is a compromise. Obviously that's how these things work. But the problem is it feels like both the MLB, specifically the owners, because I do want to point out to people, and I know that your audience knows this, but I feel inclined to say it anyway. The league is not the league arguing for the league. The league is 30 owners or ownership groups that all are trying to decide, how do I make more money? Because the billions I have is just not quite enough for me. I can only buy 5 super yachts next year, and I'd really like 6. On the flip side, the owner, the players are the exact same way. Now, I'm more inclined to line up with players because I get it. I have never bought a ticket to go watch an owner own. I have always bought tickets to go watch players play. They're the product. They should be the ones getting the bag.
I love paying money to watch owners own things.
Yeah.
Oh, what else you got? Oh, here's some more money to buy more of your shit.
Yeah. Listen, I already know. Look on that wall. There's a new Braves hat over there. There's a Braves. Like, I get it. I am part of the problem. But I've never bought that hat because I'm a big fan of Alex Anthopoulos. I bought it because I'm a fan of Ronald Acuna Jr. I'm a fan of Chris Sale, or I'm a fan of the Braves as a team. So I don't know what this compromise looks like. What I do know is neither side wants to be the first side that says, Yeah, we're ready to compromise. We're ready to walk to the middle. Neither side wants to be the first side. It's old school 1980s doing cocaine in the bathroom business thought of the first person to seat a step might as well seat a mile. And it sucks because, Deck, the reality here is, while it might hurt the players in the short term, and while it might hurt the owners in the short term, the only people who are getting hurt in the long term is us, is the people who give both groups the money to do that. I remember very well the lockout back in the 90s, and I will tell you, Deck, I was as a youngster, because I was, I don't know, 12, 13, whatever I was when it happened. I was never the same baseball fan after it that I was before. Now, I came back around, and I will always have a love for baseball. You know me, I love baseball immensely, but I was never the same wide-eyed, idealistic fan that genuinely, even as a soon-to-be 41-year-old man, I very much want to be romantic about baseball. This makes it tough to do it because they're effectively kicking you in the teeth that you don't matter as a fan. Your money is the only thing that matters, and we all want it. And it just kind of sucks a little bit, dude.
It does. It does, and it's going to be a bit of a mess. But here, Jeets right here says, just my thoughts, but I do think both sides want to pound their chests all year. You're absolutely right, Jeets22. You don't want to go into negotiations looking weak. Couldn't agree more. I think they will get a deal done. That's my hope. That is my hope as well, but I will freely admit I do not feel good about that hope. But you know what does make me feel a little better about that hope? Just a little better? Because we give owners too much credit for being geniuses. Cue in Artie Moreno saying stupid things. If I'm the Players Association, I am telling you right now, every word out of Artie Moreno's mouth is put on a billboard outside of the headquarters of Major League Baseball, because him saying that winning is not even the top 5 priorities of my fan base just tells me Artie Moreno is not just lost touch. He's never had touch, doesn't have hands to touch things, doesn't possess skin to feel anything ever. To say he's out of touch is an understatement. And by the way, what excuses are you going to give me on market size for them not spending money for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? Assholes.
First off, and a brief behind-the-scenes moment, Cody Decker. I, Rob Brown, the broadcast professional, have to hand you credit because that's one of the greatest transition segues I've ever heard or seen in my life. Because my camera's right here, and Artie Moreno's face popped up right there when you were saying it, and I about fell out of the chair. That's good work.
Thank you.
I don't understand because, again, I am an idiot. I own that I am an idiot. Here's what I do know. What I do know is that in the 2021 baseball season, I am in Greenville, South Carolina. It is approximately 1 hour and 45-ish minutes from my front door to the Battery outside of Truist Park in Atlanta, Georgia. And what I do know is that in the year 2021, post the COVID lockdown, I could pop into the rig, drive the buck 45 to Atlanta, and I could pay $40, $50 to sit somewhere in the bottom bowl at Truist Park and watch a baseball game. Then, in the year 2021, the Atlanta Braves won the World Series. And what I know is in 2022, I could pop in the rig, drive an hour 45 to Truist, and all of a sudden, that same $40, $45 ticket the year before was now $75, $80 plus dollars to sit in worse seats. How does someone like Artie Moreno make it to the level he's made it to and not see that if you give me a good team, I'll buy more shit, man? Like, that's, what do we, like, it's not that complicated, bud. There's 6 or 7 Braves hats in this room. There's 4 or 5 jerseys in that closet right now. I've been a Braves fan since like 1987 when I turned 3 and my old man was starting to teach me about baseball. I own more stuff post the 2021 World Series than I did all of my life before it. Why? Because they won something and it boosted me and it made me willing to, like, this feels like such a dumb thing to have to say into a microphone because I assumed that it is universally understood. Deck, it seems like the only people who don't understand it are the people that actually make the decisions to make it happen or not. What are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know, but I never thought the day would come where I look at Angels fans and I'm like, dude, I feel so bad for you guys. Because remember a couple of years ago, you and I got into it with like every Angel fan because we had the audacity, the gall to make suggestions hoping that your team would get better. And unfortunately, your team actually, to their credit, did try, but unfortunately it all fell to pieces, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. That being said, I feel bad for Angels fans. They are stuck with a truly, truly impotent owner who has no interest in making this team better. The money that he has spent has been horribly spent since he's taken over this team. He talks about he wants everything to be affordable. Well, that's great. An affordable baseball game is great when your baseball team is good. And God forbid you're a player on the Angels who have to listen to this megalomaniacal maniac sit around talking about how it's not even a priority to win. I don't know what to say other than it's pretty damn gross. I don't know what these teams, as much as they are owned by, say, an ownership group, they're public entities, whether you want to pretend they are or not. A lot of people base their entire lives around these sports teams. So actually saying out loud that winning's not a priority for them, it's just baffling, dude. It's baffling. Out of touch. It won't even come close to touching it, because it just tells me that you've just never had a mind for this at all. And I'm actually starting to wonder, why did Artie Moreno ever even buy this team? Because if he bought this team for the reason that I think he bought the team, which was a financial investment to eventually go out and sell the team, what do you think, Rob Brown?
There's no thinking. I want you to all understand, and I think most people do, but I'll say it anyway. Major League Baseball, National Football League, National Basketball Association, Major League Soccer, I don't give a damn what sport or level it's at. There are 0 owners, 0, not a none, 9, 0 owners of a professional or even semi-professional sports league that have ever purchased a team for any other reason than profit. It's the only reason any owner owns a team. Not one of them has ever. It's easy for Deck. It's easy for me. It's easy for you as a fan to say, like, yes, there is a pipe dream that one day Rob wins the Powerball for $450 billion and he buys the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans and rescues them from the asshats that have been in charge of that franchise for a very long time. But I would be then the only one who ever said I want to buy a team only because I'm a fan and would give every dollar that I have to make them winners. No one has ever bought a team out of love or loyalty or anything like that. It is exclusively and primarily a financial decision. That's not the issue. The issue is I don't understand how somebody like Artie Moreno can look at a team that, and I'm sorry to kick you in the nads here, Angels fan, had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on it at the exact same effing time.
Pretty good.
And decided we're good. We're good. My fans don't want to win. They just want to be entertained. No. Artie, nothing on planet Earth, nothing entertains me more than my team winning championships. I got to see the Saints win a Super Bowl championship in 2009. And I need you to know, in 2026, which is a lot of years later, I'm still buzzing every time they show the Tracy Porter pick on Peyton Manning on the TV. I still get sexually aroused watching that happen, okay? So, like, nothing gets me to stay on board more than winning. I don't think I don't get it. Artie, you, my guy, since I know this is the only thing that matters, you will make more money if you make winning a priority. It's not a complicated formula. More wins, more dollars. End of sentence.
Yep. And by the way, Swaggy No Legs absolutely nails it. Baseball is tough. 2 greatest players ever, maybe, on the same team and couldn't win shit. You ain't lying, dude. By the way, Major League Baseball, getting away from the CBA of it all, they did debut their new ABS challenge system. And you know what? Let's not even listen to me. Let's just go ahead and watch the new ABS challenge system. First time enacted in a Brewers matchup. Let's take a look.
Another veteran move. We'll have a review here. Our first ABS challenge of the day.
Call the field is a ball. The catcher is challenging.
There it is. Catcher challenging the ball call. The ABS review powered by T-Mobile. We will take a look, and it is a strike. So the catcher was right, and that one kind of right down the middle.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Okay, wait. You know what? I want to address this.
I do not like
Decker.
it. I'm bad TV product.
I'm going to interview you for a second. Is that your only problem? Is it's a bad TV product?
I just also think it's stupid. If you can get the call right, why aren't we getting the call right?
Okay.
You have a system that you're clearly going to use, which means you're telling me you can get every call right. So my question is, why the fuck aren't we just getting every fucking call right? This is stupid. It's stupid. It's a waste of my time, your time, the audience's time, baseball's. We have a CBA coming up in just a few months, and you're going to waste my time with this? A stupid 10, 20-second thing to challenge 3 balls a game? Just get it right. I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills.
I need you to know. Cody Decker, you were there. I got married on September 21st of the year 2024. And this is the happiest moment I've experienced since that day. Okay? Let me tell you why. Because when Deck and I were talking about this show earlier in the day, when he asked if I could come on, and I said I'd love nothing more in the world, Decker said, I hate the ABS, but I'm going to save it for the show. And I said, great. And I came in here prepared to do battle with Cody Decker about why this is a good thing. And I really thought that me and my very dear friend, my colleague, my comrade, my compatriot in arms, I thought we were going to have a legitimate fight on the show today. And it turns out, no, we're not. Cody was just giving me a little M. Night Shyamalan caliber twist there, because it turns out we agree totally. We agree totally. Here's the thing. The ABS is good. In fact, I started a stopwatch from the moment that old boy touched the top of his helmet to the moment that clip ended. Now, keep in mind, the clip ended well after the judgment happened. It was approximately 24 seconds of time from the challenge to going back to action. Let's round it up to 30 just for good time's sake. And let's say there's 10 challenges a game. That means to a 2 hour and 38-minute baseball game, we are now making it 2 hours and 43 minutes. If there is any one of you out there that says, if they add 5 minutes to a baseball game, I'm not watching anymore, you're dumb and or a liar. Nobody's not watching the game because of that. But Deck went one step further, and he tricked me in order to get a reaction out of me, and it was art and beautifully done. Because the reality is, just do it for all the pitches. Just do it for all. Just do it for all of them. Why would you not do it? Why would we not do it for all of them? Why? In what world does this make sense at all? You're telling me that if you have that you do have a system which just as soon as the ball crosses the plate can go K or B and put it on a thing and we can all see it exactly, and you go, yeah, no, guys, it's perfect. It's so good that we are willing to use it. Like 4% of the time. That's what? Just use it. Now, I do get it, Deck, that there's a whole thing about the, umpires association, and you got to deal with that.
It's even here, Swaggy McNolegs. Ums don't want it, but the umps don't want this either. You think the ump wants to be called out in real time for getting a call wrong? I would actually make the argument that this is worse than just taking it out of their fucking hands.
I also need to say, remember a few minutes ago when I said I buy tickets to watch players play. I don't buy tickets to watch owners own. I've never bought a ticket to watch an ump. In fact, not only have I not done that, Decker, Artie Moreno is my second most hated Angel in baseball. You know who the first is? Hernandez. I hated that guy. Decker and I, this is true. Decker and I were on the air together when Angel Hernandez's retirement announcement came.
We celebrated.
I was doing a morning show. here in Greenville, South Carolina. Deck was just randomly coming on as a guest. And the announcement dropped that Angel Hernandez was retiring. Deck and I spent approximately 12 and a half minutes on the show, just absolutely grooving. All right, like KC and the Sunshine Band was playing a concert for just moving about how jacked up we were. Just get rid of it entirely, right? Let's put a 1,000,000 frame per second camera on first, second, and third base. Now we got out and safe every time, flawlessly, no questions asked, and throw the K zone up on every pitch. People go, oh, what are you going to do without umpires? You know what I'm going to do without umpires? Get every call correct as it should be when you can, jackass.
You know what I'm going to do without umpires? Exactly what I'm doing when I have umpires. But guys, I want to make this abundantly clear. If you're a sports fan, forget any sport, just any sport. If you notice the referee, it's because he's bad or she's bad. You don't notice the good referees or umpires. You know why? Because an umpire and referee should be as noticeable as a goddamn chair. Like, that's it. You shouldn't notice them. They should be in the background. You don't notice them. When you notice them, it's bad. God, so dumb. But hey, we got no Shane today, but don't worry, because good news is we still got ourselves some quick hitters. Time for Shane's quick hitters. All right, I'm going to put these questions out, and we're just going to go straight into them. Question number 1, Rob Brown. What is your Rob Brown favorite sports memory?
Easy, real easy. I've got two. One's very quick, and one is the correct answer. The short one is, my wife and I, a number of years ago, she wasn't my wife at the time. We're taking a trip up to New England for 4 days. We were doing a couple of days in Boston, a couple of days in New York. And the wife came home to me, again, just a girlfriend at the time, and she said, hey, I got a surprise for you. And she pulled out an envelope and handed it to me. And she had purchased us 2 tickets to go see the Boston Red Sox play the New York Yankees in the regular season finale at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts, because she knew going to Fenway had been a bucket list item for me for years. That was the moment. And this is terrible. Don't tell her I said this. I'll call you a liar. The minute I knew I was going to marry that woman. When she said, oh, I'm taking Rob to New York, I'm getting tickets to them. The correct answer, though, the real answer, that New Orleans Saints Super Bowl of 2009. Now, I've seen the Florida State Seminoles win a handful of national championships, including one more recently in the year 2013. It was great. It was exceptional. The Saints are the team for me. I've got a Fleur-de-Lis tattooed on my back. But it wasn't just winning the Super Bowl, Deck. It's that my entire family converged on my house. My father, who was battling colon cancer, which had metastasized the rest of his body, got to see the New Orleans Saints win a Super Bowl, which none of us at any point ever would have thought that was going to happen. That night consisted of myself, my dad, my brother, 3 of my uncles, my aunt, and more cousins than I can shake a stick at. I'm Irish Catholic. It's inevitable. All absolutely slam-ass plastered, doing a second line to a recorded brass band up and down the street. One of the neighbors called the cops on us because this was at like 3:30 in the morning, and we were still absolutely raging. The cop shows up, and he goes, what are you guys doing? To which I, after what I assume was somewhere between 3/4 to a full bottle of Jägermeister, looked at him and said, Saints fans won Super Bowl. And he went, I understand. Just take it inside and quiet down. Okay. Like, let us off the hook entirely for what should have been roughly 17 public disturbance arrests all at the same time. That night will stay in the dome until the day that I join my father wherever we go next.
The year was 1998, specifically September 8th, 1998. And I was outside in the front yard playing wiffle ball with my 2 good friends, Matthew and Jesse Kittle. They were twins, 2 years older than me. But you know what they had? They had something I didn't have. A big screen TV. And I'm talking about one of those old school ones with the wood cabinet that would open up with the 3 dots. Those TVs were gigantic to me as a young boy. And I can't stress this enough, as an 11-year-old boy, that TV was like having an IMAX theater in your home. And they had it. And guess what? Every about hour, we would get called over by Jesse and Matt's dad, Barry Kivel. And he would yell, McGuire's up! McGuire's up! and we stopped playing some wiffle ball, sprinted our asses to look at that 1987 gigantic Zenith cabinet television, and we watched Mark McGwire hit a line drive down the left field line that just barely got over the fence for number 62 against the Chicago Cubs. Me and the Kibbles danced around screaming and ranting and raving as if we ourselves had just broken Roger Maris's record. And then we watched him round the bases, nearly miss first base. Sammy Sosa comes in from right. They do their handshake. He picks up his son, who weighed probably 130 pounds, threw him roughly 35 feet in the air because Mark McGwire was so juiced to the gills. He was basically Bill Goldberg holding a bat at the time. That being said, I don't care. This was magic. It was why I love baseball. And Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in 98 and that home run race that culminated in that 60-second home run on September 8th, to me, was my favorite, as a child, sports memory I got to watch. And by the way, watching the Lakers win their first championship with Shaq and Kobe was on that list. I mean, there's a lot of things on that list. But, dude, watching that in 98, that was just peak cinematic baseball, and dude, did I love it. So let's go ahead and go to a different question right on the other end of the spectrum, and I'll go first if you'd like. What is your least favorite sports memory? And I'm going to start with mine. The year was 2003. It was January 26th. It's the single worst thing that ever happened, and that was when I had to watch John Gruden bitch slap the team that traded him to Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl 48-21. It was like watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play against a high school team. The Raiders got their asses handed to them. It was such a bad game that the NFL and all its fans were in panic mode, because guess what was debuting the following Sunday? The XFL. And everyone thought the XFL was going to come in and absolutely take away all the business from the NFL. Don't worry, that ended within one kickoff on the XFL. We were safe, but man, because of my dog shit Raiders Super Bowl, I was worried the NFL was going to fold. That's how bad that sports memory was.
I get it. Since we're going back in time, I'll take you back to 1997. Your boy was sitting in the New Orleans Superdome, but it was not a Saints game this time, Cody Decker. This would have been the 1997 Nokia Sugar Bowl. You may remember that was that year's national championship game. And in it were my Florida State Seminoles. And who should be sitting across the midfield line from them? The arch rival, the University of Florida Gators, led by one Danny Warfel, who went to my rival high school in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. So not only was it the mighty Gators, who I despise, they were QB'd by a guy who beat the dog snot out of what would be my high school football team a couple of years later. Well, you will also remember that earlier in that year, Florida State played each other on rivalry weekend, as they always have. And in that rivalry game, Florida State absolutely dog-walked the mighty Gators of Florida. And then Florida somehow, with an 11-1 record, snuck their way back into the national championship game. My old man came to me because I, Florida State fan growing up, my little brother, I assume, dropped on his head as a child, for some reason became a fan of the University of Florida. So we had a little sibling rivalry. And how often are your two schools going to play each other for a natty? So the old man splurged, and he got me and my brother and my mom tickets to go see the national championship game. And your boy talked relentless amounts of shit leading up to that game. I was 12 years old after all. It was the prime of my shit talking career because we had already beat the chumps. And instead, we got dog walked by a final score of 52-20. It remains to this day the largest margin of victory in a national championship game over a number one ranked team going in. I don't know if it will ever be topped. To make it worse, Cody Decker, sitting 2 rows ahead of me by sheer coincidence was my third grade teacher, Miss Jody Gherkin, who I had an enormous crush on because she was beautiful and was also a Gator fan. I had to for the next 30 minutes of my life while I watched the Florida Gator team around Danny Warfel celebrate their national championship. get shit talked to my face by my third grade teacher who I was in puppy love with, and I have never, ever, ever, ever been able to shake that memory from my heart or my brain.
Tough. And last question on Shane's Quick Hitters. What is the superhero movie you're looking most forward to, Rob Brown? Because we got a lot of options. You got DC making their massive comeback. I'll even open it up to streaming shows if you want to get a little bit further into the DCU or the MCU. What is the comic book property that you're looking most forward to coming a cinematic adventure of some sort?
So you mentioned earlier you're a bigger DC guy. I'm a bigger Marvel guy, and that's true. I mean, again, like both of us each love the other thing as well. This isn't a Rob hates DC. Rob very much loves DC. There's a stack of comic books on the floor down there. I've displayed it to Cody Decker multiple times. That is primarily DC comics. In the cinematic universe, I'm just a Marvel guy. I like fun. I like bouncy. I like happy. I like perky. I like peppy. All right. It is me, judge away. I bounced around a lot. I have to say, and I know it's the answer you expect. Let me see if I can rationalize my way out of it being a boring answer. Doomsday. Now,
I figured.
There's a reason Doomsday is the one I'm looking forward to. Because, Cody Decker, and I've told you this before, Doomsday determines if there is a Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward, right? They're it seems to be, are pulling out all the stops. And that includes some I don't necessarily love. Like, I think you kind of ruin a lot of what happened in the lead up to Endgame and the follow-up of Endgame if you bring back Captain America. But I'm going to give him some wiggle room because we do know that we are at a spot where we're about to have a confluence of universes. Yeah, we know the Fantastic Four are going from their universe to ours. I assume 616. We'll see. Having Robert Downey Jr. come back, even though it's not as Iron Man, we'll see, kind of negates the sacrifice he made. But I will also say there is a door open for them to make it make sense in this world that doesn't diminish the sacrifice of those characters or the story conclusion of those characters in Endgame. It's not so much that I necessarily think that Doomsday is going to bring the same energy, excitement, electricity to the theater as it did, as Endgame did, which, let's be real, like Endgame was incredible for that last real big rush of endorphins in a theater. It's more along the lines of, if they get it right, we will get more Marvel projects and hopefully great stories coming down the line. But if they get it wrong, then one of two things happens. Either DC gets it right and they become the powerhouse cinematic universe, or DC gets it wrong and we see the cap of the golden era of comic book movies for at least a handful of years. And to me, those are the only three outcomes. Either it's really good, Marvel sticks around, or it's bad and DC takes over, or it's bad and DC can't successfully reboot, and we end up in a spot where we're done with comic book movies for this generation at least.
So I am also, of course, very excited for Doomsday. No question. I'm a little more hesitant on being excited for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I don't want to see it, and it's not because I don't think they're going to do a good job with it. It's because Brand New Day comic book is literally the comic book that made me rage quit Marvel Comics as a reader. Like, I hated One More Day so much that I literally closed the book and said, I'm done with this company. That's how much I hated it. That being said, I do feel like it'll be a fun movie. I'm excited to see it. But my thing that I'm looking forward to, and by the way, Supergirl coming out, Superman, the Man of Tomorrow coming out in a couple years, Supergirl, Lobo. I'm getting a live action Lobo played by Jason Momoa. Okay. Thank you. So in. Not at the top of my list. What's at the top of my list is something that's not being talked about nearly enough. And it did get postponed a couple of months, which I'm happy about. It means they're really trying to make sure they get this right. My favorite comic book of all time is The Green Lantern. And dude, Lanterns, I think, is going to be a legitimate game changer. If they nail the landing of Lanterns, and by the way, Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, yes, please. A+. You see him in that brown jacket standing next to Jon Stewart. I'm in. I hope Guy Gardner is in this. Apparently he is in this. But it's like a true detective, like crime story that's taking place on Earth by a couple of space cops. All day and night, twice on Sunday. I cannot wait to see a gritty Green Lantern series. And I can't wait to see what they do with this, dude. It's at the tippy top of my list of all the things James Gunn has said and pontificated about and suggested. Nothing made me more excited than the announcement of Lanterns, which will be on HBO Max. Dude, cannot wait.
I'm very good with that answer. Supergirl, really excited about it. Give me a universe hopping, absolutely hammered, partied Supergirl. Just put crypto in every project. Put crypto in Lanterns too. I just want crypto in every project at this point. But I am excited about that. I'll add one more as a bonus award. I don't know if you will be. I genuinely don't know if you'll be with me on this or not, Cody Decker. Spider-Man Noir with Nick Cage as an aged Peter Parker in a gritty 50s noir.
He's playing
style.
Ben Reilly. He's playing Ben Reilly.
Buddy, it is one of those things that I go, do I expect it to turn into a thing? Not really. Do I expect it to give us this whole spin-off of this universe that we're going to live in for years? Not really. Do I expect to sit down with 5 to 7 gallons of extra butter popcorn and lose my effing mind over how ridiculous and insane and I love it? Yeah, no, I expect that fully. I can't wait.
I'll freely admit, I really don't know how to feel about it yet. Come back to me in a little bit. I'm not ready yet to give my, I want it to be good, but I'm like, man, is this one of those things that's just too much of a good thing? Like, the amount we got of him in Spider-Verse, I thought was honestly really perfect. It's like, yeah, I love ice cream, but if you shove 9 gallons of ice cream down my mouth in one sitting, I don't love ice cream as much, is all I'm saying.
I mean, it's fair. And I get it. Here's the thing, though. I love a campy movie, dude. I love a campy, cheesy, cornball.
Is it a movie or a series? I'm so confused on what this even is.
So am I. Here's what I know. Spider-Man Noir, it's got Nick Cage, and I love campy movies. And I have one fear, Deck. I have one fear. The one fear I have is that the team that's putting it together looks at it, and they start to become that look how artsy we are, or like creative group. And they're like, let's try to create an Oscar for best flick award out of this. Instead of going, all right, we know that people are watching this because they want to see how cheesy campy it should be. So let's lean all the way in. That's all I want. I want it to be so outrageous that I watch it and I go, that was incredible. And then I never watch it again because I got all I was going to get out of it the first time. That's all I want. I just want a break.
Okay, well, let's get away from Shane's quick hitters and let's get back over to the controversy that is the Olympics. And those of you that want to say, well, it's not a controversy. Yes, it is. I don't know what to tell you other than it's an absolute controversy. I don't know what to tell you that all the people that desperately wanted to save women's sports from something that some existential threat that did not exist seem to be snickering and giggling at women's sports. So I don't know what to tell you other than it absolutely is a controversy. And if you don't know what we're talking about, here is the phone call from our dear president to the winners of the Olympic gold medal in men's hockey.
Like you did in the ice. Thank you, Mr. President. Now we'll do it at the White House anytime. What would really be cool, and we'll do the White House the next day, we'll just have some fun. We have medals for you guys. And we have to, I must tell you, we're going to have to bring the women's team. You do know that.
Isn't that funny, Rob Brown? They got to bring the lady folk around. You know, the most dominant American hockey team that's ever existed. We're just going to go ahead and giggle about them coming around, not to mention players on the team, the Hughes brothers, whose mom is a coach on said team and a silver medalist in her own right. She did put out a statement post this. And listen, these players, both men and women, can bring so much unity to a group and to a country, she said. People that cheered on that don't watch hockey. People that have politics on the side or on the other side, and it's all both the men's team and women's team care about. Listen, those of you that want to sit here and say, well, it's not political, they're being brought as a propaganda tool to the State of the Union today. I don't know what to tell you other than if you haven't been paying attention to our State of our Union I don't know what to tell you other than bringing a hockey team over to the State of the Union address as a political piece is absolutely political. It's an absolute propaganda move. And if you disagree with this, you're lying to yourself. I don't know what to tell you other than that. Lying to yourself, lying to yourself, lying to yourself. I don't have to sit here and pretend that I have to acknowledge you lying to yourself. This is what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting. I have been a fan of, an advocate of women's sports for as long as I can remember. Cody Decker will attest in the 5+ years we've been broadcasting together. I've talked as much WNBA as I have NBA. I've talked as much about during the Olympics when I was doing shows. It was as much about the women's hockey team as the men's. There's a couple of things that came out of this to me. First off, I've come to the recognition that a lot of the "Hey LeBron, shut up and dribble" crowd got real quiet there once the hockey team started acting in a certain way, or certain politicians started getting involved. It's really entertaining that so many shut up and dribble people don't say shut up and dribble in this spot. So many keep your politics out of my sports people are now very, very happy with the politics in this particular sport for this particular reason. The women's team has won 3 gold medals. The men's team has won 3 gold medals. The difference being the men's team has been participating in the Olympics for the better part of 100 years. The women's for about 27, with the Olympics happening every 4 years. I don't get what's funny about that joke, right? Like, I don't get it. And I will tell you, what breaks my heart about this is not just let's call it what it is, the sexism that was displayed both in that phone call and unfortunately by the reaction of the men's hockey team in that moment. What bothers me is that Sunday morning, I was at a gathering because I went out to watch it in public. I'm a hockey guy. I went out and watched it in public. And I watched a room with about 300 people in it of different races and sexes, of different genders and religious beliefs, of different socioeconomic backgrounds. When Jack Hughes put that thing in the back of the net in OT, that place lost its mind, and we were playing Free Bird, and the flag was up in the air. And it genuinely felt, Deck, in a country that has been as polarized as it's probably been since the mid-1800s. In that moment, nobody cared. Nobody cared. We just wanted to play Free Bird and wave the American flag and celebrate that the men's hockey team did something special. I was out when the women's team won their gold medal as well. And it was the exact same thing. Fewer people, I get it, but the emotion was the same. And then within 2 hours, it felt like it didn't matter. It felt like that went away. And it wasn't so much about the political beliefs, because listen, I have my political persuasion. I'm sure most of you know what it is already. Mm-hmm. You have yours. All right. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between, hey, we disagree on economic thought. We disagree on border policy. We disagree on this or that. That's one thing or another. Where I will say, no, we can't say, well, let's just let others have their opinion, is when you're a sexist, or when you're homophobic, or when you're transphobic, or when you're xenophobic, or when you're bigoted. I'm not going to play nice with you at that point. If Donald Trump called the hockey team and said, guys, congratulations, that was an incredible event, you brought the country together, zero issue. Congratulations on taking a phone call from the president of the United States. That is an honor. But instead, we got this unnecessarily sexist moment out of the president. And then the men's team laughed at it like it's the funniest thing that they had heard all day. And I don't get it. That's a moment. I've developed this new strategy over the years when people make those kind of jokes in public because they think they're funny. I've developed this thing where I won't laugh, Deck. I'll look him at the face and I go, why is that funny? Explain to me why that's funny. And it's amazing how people will shut down. I would genuinely love to ask the people in that room, the Kachuk brothers, Jack Hughes, whoever laughed, explain why it's funny to me. Explain how that team that kicked so much more ass than you kicked in the Olympics, explain how what he just said is worth a laugh. Because I don't think you can, because I don't think it was. And it's crap like that is creating the problems that we are dealing with nationally right now, in my ever so humble opinion.
Yeah, and I'm going to go a step further. You know what I'm really excited for? Well, at least I was. I'm not anymore, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not. I love the WBC. I think the WBC is awesome. But because of how I just watched this Olympics go and how I've seen every pundit take and try to take every humanly possible narrative and hammer it into the ground as being pro or anti-patriot, I get a respite for 2 weeks before we do it again. Like I don't even want this. I want the WBC. I want to see the best of Major League Baseball in the United States take on Japan, take on Korea, take on the Dominican Republic. And by the way, I don't think the U.S. team is in the top 3 best team in coming into this WBC. Japan right now, even though they're not the odds-on favorite, foolish if you ask me. They've won 3 of like the 5 WBCs that have taken place, and they're probably going to win again. I don't know what to tell you other than, like, I want to enjoy this. But now just seeing how people just can't help but pound their chest these days when USA's on somebody else's chest and we have to sit around and debate on who's American enough to your liking or not American enough to their liking. I just don't feel like doing this anymore. And it seems like there's only people that want to do this. And here's the problem. They don't want to do it because they actually believe it. They want to do it because it's part of a grift and they're getting you guys to fall for it. And that's what I'm most frustrated about. It's not that the people and the dumb assholes are doing it. It's that there's more dumb assholes falling for it.
Here's what I'll tell you. And this is, I don't know if this is a good or a bad personality feature about me, Deck. I do my best. My old man liked to use the phrase eternal optimist, right? Be an eternal optimist, because if you are optimist, it will make you want to work hard to reach the most positive possible outcome of any situation. I am an optimist that this isn't going to be a problem. I'm an optimist that the WBC is going to be incredible. How long did you and I spend at the last WBC talking about the Mike Trout Shohei Ohtani showdown? It was
amazing.
One of the most electrifying moments in sports. And the way that this is based and the way it's set up, there's the possibility for that type of moment almost every game, escalating up to the WBC championship game. I am going to remain optimistic that it gets pulled off and there's no drawbacks, and it's absolutely incredible, and we get that type of drama all the way through once again. I'm going to remain optimistic that that is the case, because here's the thing. I went into the Olympics with ice hockey on the men's and women's side, to me, kind of being the crown jewel, right? Like for 2 weeks every 4 years, I become a figure skating expert. And I'll talk to you all about the triple axel. And for 2 weeks every 4 years, I become a bobsled guy. For 2 weeks every 4 years, I become a ski jumping expert who doesn't have to count what number of turns a skier did. I can just say, that's an 1180 or whatever. I get it. Hockey's a year-round thing. I watch NHL hockey. I watch college hockey. I like the hockey. I knew coming in that I'm very much against the political leanings of Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk and a lot of guys, even Connor Hellebuck, who should be the Secretary of Defense after what he did in that game against Canada for the gold medal match. I knew I come in with harsh political disagreements with all those players, but I didn't give a shit when they had the USA across the chest and the flag on the side of the helmet. They were playing for a gold medal. That's all that mattered. And then it was just kind of immediately thrown out the window the second that they succeeded. I am going to hope that the guys on the baseball diamond, even knowing that a large percentage of them probably have the same political views of Matthew and Brady Tkachuk and the rest of those guys, Connor Hellebuck, that I totally disagree with. But at the end of the day, they're going to go out there and they're going to play the game and they're going to play the sport. And I just hope that there is some level of class and respect that they show afterwards, the same as I would expect from anybody on the other side of the equation to show class and respect when you're in that spot. The problem is that the leadership of this country has thrown a lot of class and respect out of the window as what we should expect is the standard, which is where the hesitation comes from. I'm going to hope that the athletes handle it well. We get the drama so that if only for a week and a half or whatever it is, we can just be baseball fans who love the romance of the game, and it doesn't slam its own genitalia in the door the way that hockey did after an incredible Winter Olympics.
We'll see. We shall. I hope you're right, dude. I just want to enjoy good baseball and a good WBC like the last one. But I know what I didn't enjoy about this Olympics. I know what I'm not going to enjoy about the upcoming World Cup. I know what I'm not going to enjoy about the next Olympics if we're still in this same political climate that we're currently in. I don't know what to tell you. I just want this nonsense, this endless pounding of one's chest to just come to a very, very sudden end. That's all I want. Hey, man, what do you say before we wrap it up? Let's go ahead and let's shiggle a little bit. Rob Brown, I got something real interesting to talk to you about because you and I both had a show on the BetMGM network. And I'm going to play some graphics right here that are from my other show, The Regulars, with Cody Decker and Tanya Ray Fox. If you guys haven't liked, shared, and subscribed on YouTube, please check it out, The Regulars with myself and Tanya Ray Fox. We get a little bit into deeper stories. We get a little bit more detailed, and we get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of the darkness of the sports world. But we might have accidentally uncovered something. And I did preface saying that you and I worked at BetMGM for a lot of years. So you and I are very well entrenched in the gambling sphere. We know how odds work. We know how to prop bet. We spent years giving people a lot of great prop bets. That being said, something happened 2 nights ago when my Lakers were getting their absolute brakes beaten off them by the Celtics over here in Los Angeles on Pat Riley night. The levels of anger I have at that game are no bounds. Just no goddamn bounds. But let's forget about that for a second. And I just want to focus on what happened after the game. Because after the game, Jaylen Brown, who absolutely crushed that game with 32 points, like 8 rebounds, and LeBron James goes out and says, you know what? I really think that Jaylen Brown is my pick for the MVP. Interesting. You have every right to say that. He just beat you at your home team in a rivalry game in a Jason Tatum-less Boston Celtics team, of which is currently second in the East right now overall. Pretty impressive stuff. You know what? Maybe there is an argument for him to do that. But then I started thinking, and Tanya brought this to my attention. Tanya Ray Fox, who, again, my co-host for The Regulars. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I would like to share with you the following graphics because in case you don't know this, LeBron James is an ambassador, the main sports ambassador for a sports book known as DraftKings. There are a lot of sports ambassadors for certain sports books, but it was interesting that an ambassador of a particular sports book went out and said, you know what? I think Jaylen Brown is the MVP. So the next morning we did a little bit of digging. And we took a look at the odds on all of the major sports books on what Jaylen Brown's odds are for MVP. And this is literally 12 hours after LeBron James gives his ringing endorsement for Jaylen Brown. Well, here it is over the BetMGM Sportsbook, and I'm going to play the graphics from the Regulars just to show you. It seems pretty standard. Cade Cunningham plus 500, Luka Doncic plus 4,000. And right there you see Jaylen Brown. Interesting, plus 5,000. That seems fair, right? Well, go over to FanDuel, similar odds. We go through everybody. You see right here the FanDuel futures odds right now for MVP. Cade Cunningham slightly lower at plus 650, but 150 is not a huge discrepancy when it comes down to a future odd like that. So, but you see Jaylen Brown, not unlike the BetMGM model, plus 5,000, which means it's 50-1, ladies and gentlemen, if he were to win the MVP. But again, this is just 12 hours after LeBron James, brand ambassador for DraftKings, says he gives his endorsement for Jaylen Brown to be the MVP. I just showed you 2 sports books having him at 50-1. Take a look at DraftKings, because for some reason, DraftKings the next morning had Jaylen Brown at plus 3,000, which means 30-1. That is not kind of a discrepancy. That's the discrepancy of 2,000 points. And having it come literally one day after your main sports brand ambassador goes out and says that his endorsement is for Jaylen Brown, and that sports book has the odds drastically different than the other sports books, seems to me a bit of a problem. Now, do I think LeBron James did any of this on purpose? I'm going to actually give him the benefit of the doubt and say no, I don't think this was done on purpose. However, it gives me the feeling of the crypto market of Elon Musk a couple of years ago writing out a tweet, and all of a sudden the crypto numbers just all of a sudden skyrocket and then come back down because of something that was said online. Dude, I don't know if there's correlation, but there are dots here that I don't like.
I think it's fair, man. Like, I think it's fair. We have seen over the past couple of years, and it's becoming painfully more common, the concept of the pump and dump becoming a scam that people are eating folks alive. The Hawk Tua girl did a pump and dump, and she made however many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. The president of the United States and his wife both did a pump and dump scam of Bitcoin, and they made a ton of money off of it. Elon's done it. And the problem is specifically when you start getting into the cryptocurrency, and that's a whole different show, as it is not regulated or very thinly regulated. It's almost impossible to stop them at this point, short of educating people that like that's a bad thing and you're getting scammed. But especially when you have people that are supposed to be in positions of trust, it's like, you wouldn't do that to me. How this plays out, I don't know. It's really interesting. Here's what I will say. For a very long time, Deck, I have always been a believer of athletes should be allowed to endorse who and whatever they want to endorse. They are people, and if people want to give them money, it is not the athlete's job to raise your kid. If an athlete wants to go out there and endorse Johnny Walker whiskey, they should be allowed to do it. If they want to go out there and they want to endorse Willie Nelson's THC drink, they should be allowed to do it. If they want to go out there and endorse a hooker, they should be allowed to do it if it's legal in that state. It's their world, they're professionals, and it's not their job to parent your child. That should not regulate their ability to make money. There is only one difference, and that is the sports gambling world. It looked real bad when Giannis Antetokounmpo came out the other day and acknowledged that he was a part of Calci or whatever the hell it's called, a Qualci. I don't even know what it is
and
anymore.
I think that's a problem too, dude.
100%. That's a terrible look. And it is a terrible look. Listen, I'm pro gambling. As Dex pointed out many times, he and I spent 4 years together doing a gambling show. I spent 4.5 years on the BetMGM network doing nothing but gambling. I am a sports gambler. I like wagering the dollar bills, on some basketball numbers, and that's fine. But when you get to the point that the players are getting paid by an organization that their ability to influence the profitability of any decisions made both for that company and for anyone who is participating in what that company does, it's a real bad look. And I'm not saying LeBron did anything on purpose or didn't. I'm not saying the DraftKings did anything right or wrong. I don't know any of that. I'm with you, Dick. There's a lot of dots that I just can't connect right now. Here's what I do know. What I do know is when you are an investor and then you start to make statements that shift the market to that dramatic of a degree, there is a problem here. There is a problem for people that want to utilize in a very high risk field like betting on sports. They want to know that at least the platform has some integrity to it. And if LeBron James saying something has 2,000 points worth of impact on that market that I may or may not want to be a part of, I'm big on Cade Cunningham right now. I think what Detroit is doing around that kid's going to be a bona fide star for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. But now this Jaylen Brown jump from 50-1 to 30-1 has me not wanting to play a Cade Cunningham bet because I'm afraid of what that means, and I don't even know what it means right now. So it's the one spot where I would say, no, I do not think athletes should be allowed to have any forget endorsement, should not be allowed to have contact with sports gambling outfits because of what is happening right now. And I don't even know what is happening right now.
Yeah, it's a bit, dude, we're in the Wild West of this. And listen, it's not a matter of if, it's when these massive controversies are going to finally fall down on all of our heads. It's going to happen. It just is. I'm just wondering which is the first sport that's going to really have to deal with it. But what do you got for your shiggle before we wrap up and head over to our wonderful reflections?
I have a congratulations in store, Cody Decker, and that congratulations goes to a quarterback. Now I'm going to fly through this, but I want you to listen to these records of this quarterback dating back to 2012. 1-0, 0-3, 1-4, 9-7, 2 games above 500. 8-7, 7-9, 8-7, 10-5, 5 games over 500. 7-9, 8-8, 13-4, a lot of games over 500. 4-4, 7-7, 5-3. So from 2012 until 2025, this quarterback has been better than 2 games over 500 3 times in that stretch. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins, ladies and gentlemen, is getting cut by the Atlanta Falcons on March 11th when the NFL's league new year begins. And Kirk Cousins will, ladies and gentlemen, I assume, sign a free agent contract with a quarterback-thirsty team within, nanoseconds of his official cut notification from the Atlanta Falcons. And I assume that contract is going to be worth a lot of money, just a lot of money. I don't know what rabbit's foot connected to a 4-leaf clover wrapped around a shoehorn Kirk Cousins pulled out of his ass to make this happen. But I can tell you what, Kirk Cousins, you like that. Of course you like that, because you're about to get another bona fide, genuine NFL starting salary for a season in which you have played for 13 years and you have been over 500 4 times. One of those was by a single game. It is unbelievable. And let me be very clear, ladies and gentlemen. I am not hating the player. Not at all. Kirk Cousins, you magnificent bastard. You have figured something out that Cody Decker and I have been trying to figure out in our industry for the better part of all of the years that we've been in it. You have figured out how to luck your way or barely enough skill your way. I don't get it. And for the record, I would like to point out one more thing, Deck, and then I'll STF you and we can move on. This is the same Kirk Cousins that 2 years ago lied to the Atlanta Falcons about an injury so that he wouldn't lose his starting role to Michael Penix Jr., which he did, lied to their faces about a shoulder injury to try to protect himself in his own career. For the record, I am also a Costco bro. I'm also a Kohl's Cash shopper. Daddy's turning 41 in 4 days here. I am all in on the old white guy who wears New Balances lifestyle now. It's the best, all right? I'm a Kirk Cousins guy. But my man Boldface lied to the Atlanta Falcons about an injury he sustained. They're going to cut him, and they kept him for a year after that because they just had no options because great job, Terry Fontenot. Nice job at the GM there in Atlanta. But they're cutting him. And somebody's going to sign this guy anyway, and he's going to make another $100 million to be a very average quarterback who's been over 500 3 times in a 13-year career. I don't know what you did, Kurt, but congratulations, my guy, because you have figured it the hell out, brother.
Really, really has. And let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we sit around and reflect. My reflection is going to be very, very simple, my guy, and it is simply this. Shoresy is back. Season 5 of Shoresy. I finally watched the first episode of Shoresy Season 5 last night, and I cannot wait to finish the entire series. I love this show. This show knows how to tug at everything, and I will tell you this. As a guy that didn't play hockey, I played hockey as a kid, but professional baseball, I don't think there is a show or a movie that displays pro athletics better and more accurately than this show does. If you want to know what minor league baseball is like, watch Shoresy. You want to know what minor league hockey is like? You should watch Shoresy. You want to know what pro athletes are actually like? Watch Shoresy. It is a frighteningly accurate depiction of how sports are actually work behind the scenes. So go ahead and check it out. And I can't tell you enough. It's my favorite show. I'm thrilled it's back. Renewed for season 6. Canada, you guys just make the best hockey television shows. How do you do it? How do you do it?
Oh, give your balls a tug, bud. I love it. It goes back to my Letterkenny days. Letterkenny for the first 4 or 5 seasons was genuinely hysterical.
I was out with the friends the other day.
It takes a lot, Deck. You and I have talked about this. It takes a lot to get someone who is sitting on their couch by themselves to laugh out loud, to physically make the sound of the laugh. Like, I can watch the funniest movie in the world, and if I'm by myself, it's a lot of, to have me out loud doing that when I'm by myself on the couch. Letterkenny was that, Shoresy's that. I absolutely could not make an argument. Give your balls a tug, bud. Like, just absolutely legendary stuff there. I'm going to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about our best and worst sports memory earlier in the day. I've told people for a long time I have one major sports regret. And that one major sports regret is that I did not go to Old Yankee Stadium, the house that Babe built, before they knocked it down and built the new one so that Steinbrenner and Co. can make a shitload more money. All right. I never made it to Old Yankee Stadium. I saw it, never went to a ball game there. I did get to go to a ball game 3 or 4 years ago, as I mentioned earlier, at Fenway Park. If you get a chance to make a sports memory, don't pass on it. And it doesn't matter what it was. My second biggest sports regret is that when the New Orleans Saints went to the Super Bowl down in Miami, I lived in the great state of Florida at the time. I had an opportunity to go to that Super Bowl. Granted, it would have quite literally required me to sell everything that I owned in order to buy a ticket to go to that game. But I could have pulled it off. And I decided instead not to. I decided instead to work a radio remote for the station I worked at the time and watch it at the house. I'll never forgive myself for that. I could have been in the stadium in Miami when the Saints won their first, last, and only Super Bowl, and thanks to Gail Benson, probably last Super Bowl ever. If you get a chance to make a sports memory, I implore you, I beg you to do it. I sincerely. If you are here and you are watching this, listening to this, paying attention to this, it's because you love sports. And maybe you love a sport, maybe you love all the sports, maybe you love athlete, maybe you just love the handsome son of a bitch that hosts this show every day, Cody Decker. I don't know why it is you're here, but you love some sport, okay? If you get a chance to make the memory, make the freaking memory, because you're going to get one crack at it. The World Cup is coming in just a few months. Mm-hmm. Your boy has been stashing money away for like 6 years now to be able to go see Team USA play in person, all right? It's the only thing I want. And I'm going to tell you right now, the wife the other day was like, hey, we got to buy a new house. Are you sure you want to spend that much money on a soccer game? And my answer was, yeah, that's the only reason I saved this money, because what I do know is if I don't go and then the U.S. does something special, all I'm going to do is kick myself in the face for the rest of my life for not having been there and been a part of it. If you get a chance to make a memory, please make the memory, because the memory will stick with you forever, but so will the regret if you miss out on something special. Make the memory, man. Just trust me and do it.
Just got to live, bro. Just got to live. And that has been it for us today. Like, share, and subscribe. And, of course, wherever you get your favorite podcast, but most importantly, right here on YouTube, check us out. We are off tomorrow. No Beadle and Decker on Wednesday this week. We'll be back on Thursday with Keith Irizarry, Friday with Tyrone Johnson. And then we're back, of course, Monday with Michelle Beadle live here on YouTube at noon Pacific time. Rob Brown, dude, you know what I think about you, both professionally and personally. I love having you on here. The chat loves having you on here. I believe it was the Great who said last time, Mr. Brown, great job. I did not know your game. And I think a few more people today have learned your game as well, my man.
Brother, I will come back anytime that you ask me, unless I have something better to do or don't want to. But other than that, I am at your disposal. To those of you in the chat, thanks for letting me hang out at the Rob Brown Show across the social media. If you want to toss me a follow, Deck, my brother, love you like a brother. Can't wait to be back again, big dog. Thanks for having me.
Love you right back, my man. I will see you guys live right here on Thursday with me and Keith Irizarry. Cannot wait to talk to you guys about all the things that are sports and other things as well. But most importantly, let me just leave you with the most important thing. We talked some heavy stuff today and some fun stuff today, but the most important thing, R.I.P. Estelle Getty.